is Joy News Prime.
This is Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. My name is Israel. I am welcoming you to the most comprehensive news bulletin in Ghana. Coming up, the Electoral Commission chairperson briefs Parliament about proposals to make the 2016 elections credible. Amongst them, the use of national service persons as polling agents and university professors as returning officers. Minority in Parliament demand recall of agreement covering controversial Ameri Energy project. Suspended chairman of New Patriotic Party goes to court seeking to stop the party from discussing his suspension at this weekend's Extraordinary Congress in Siani.
And in business tonight, Finance Ministry strategizes to mitigate any negative impact of interest rate hikes by the U.S. Central Bank. And government officials justify 3.6 million cedi expenditure on rebranding of public commuter buses. The business news comes up in 30 minutes, but then entertainment, sports, and Joy News Interactive will follow in the second hour. Also, this bulletin is also available across Europe on ABN Television, on the Sky platform, as well as Freeview Connect. Stay tuned. Now we're starting with the MPP, where the suspended chairman of the party, Paul Afoko, has once again dragged the party to court. In the latest phase of his legal battle with the party, Mr. Afoko is seeking an injunction to prohibit the MPP from discussing his suspension at the party's Extraordinary Congress on Saturday in Siani. Afriyie filed this report from the court.
In the 7-page document presented to the court by lawyers for Mr. Paul Afoko, they accused the MPP of organizing the December 19 Delegates Conference to remove Mr. Paul Afoko from office, although the matter is yet to be determined by the court. Again, they say that should the party remove Mr. Afoko from office, it would cause irreparable damage to him. Mr. Paul Afoko's lawyers also raised issues with how the party went about the suspension of the former chairman of the New Patriotic Party. One of the key issues they raised is how the National Executive Committee was convened. They argued that as Mr. Paul Afoko was in the country, Mr. Freddie Blay had no right at all to convene that meeting that eventually saw the suspension of Mr. Paul Afoko. The Human Rights Court is yet to set a date and venue for the next hearing on this matter. Although lawyers for Mr. Paul Afoko have insisted they'll go all length to ensure that the MPP's Extraordinary Delegates Conference does not come off at all. For Joy News, my name is Afriyie.
Police in Accra is asking for help from the opposition New Patriotic Party to apprehend those involved in the violent clashes at the party's headquarters in the city on Wednesday. The party's private security agents are reported to have gone on rampage, attacking journalists and supporters who were picketing at the MPP headquarters. Accra Region Police Public Relations Officer ASP Efiatenge says the MPP has been provided with photographs of some of the suspects.
Division that yes, somebody had come there to complain and also make a formal report to the police that his vehicle was parked on the road to the NPP headquarters, and all he saw was that some men had come out from the NPP premises and they assaulted him and also damaged his vehicle. So in the process, we were able to secure some pictures of people who were actually vandalizing a vehicle that was an urban vehicle, and also we saw when the gentleman was being attacked. So it was very fortunate that we had those pictures.
Okay.
And at least
I just have to hurry this along. But for the pictures you've been able to obtain, you've gone to the party asking that these individuals be produced. Has that been done?
Yes, we have asked them by close of day to assist us with these individuals, and we know they have already assured us of their cooperation, and we know that they are going to provide them.
So if they do produce these individuals, what will you hold them for?
Oh, it is too early. The case is actually under investigation. Usually in a case like this, we have seen something like this, we need to invite them, we need those people, then we can proceed from there.
Elsewhere, the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, is urging political parties to focus more on development issues instead of just putting all their energies into winning elections. Executive Director of IDEG, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, says Ghana's development has become sluggish because of the party's obsession with simply winning elections. He was speaking at the 15th anniversary lecture of the Institute in Accra.
Ghana goes to polls in less than a year, and there are concerns some political parties may act in ways to undermine the political process. Executive Director of IDEG, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, says political parties must first consider the interest of Ghanaians.
We always believe that parties can do a lot more to bridge the gap. We can turn our parties, maybe move them a little from elections to thinking seriously about how they want to solve our development problems, so that Ghana would not just become a middle-income country, but a middle-income country that is inclusive, where there is good education, good health, welfare, housing. You feel good to be Ghanaian. Your Ghanaian dream is in your country, you get the best of everything, and those working for it are political parties, are civil servants. We can turn the situation around and let our parties know that we want them to work hard for us. They are not working hard now. They are not. They are just doing elections, and then they come to power, and our system is so closed up, and some make a lot of money and they are happy. But let them now make money for us, work for us, change our living standards, and improve our lifestyles. But there is nothing like that. So it's elections. So we want our parties to begin to look more at how they are solving the problems, not just doom so.
Dr. Akwete also called for local governance process to be more open to enhance transparency and accountability at the local level.
We want to come up with a system, and we say that, tell us a bit more about what you said you are going to do. How are you going to do it, when and where, so we can monitor, we can engage you. And if you fail to deliver, we hold you responsible. It is also important that we open local government to the parties to contest, so that we can elect our DCEs and the local council people. So they will pass the local budget. The DCE that promises I'll do this and that, the people would hold them. You see how they hold the MPs, and the MPs, you know, are complaining. They come to us, they want this, they want that. It will shift to the district chief executives, who actually are supposed to have the money to develop. So we'll see some changes. And our parties, using the power of the vote we have, we can change so much.
Meanwhile, the former research coordinator of the United Nations Institute for Social Development, Dr. Yusuf Bangura, is also calling for state financing of the operations and activities of political parties in Africa to make them more inclined to the developmental needs of citizens. He says the lack of incentives for political parties over the years has deepened inequalities and gaps in democratic governance in Africa.
This is because the problem of inequality and poor governance is a development problem. My point is that much progress can be made in overcoming inequalities and democratic deficits if Africa's parties can be transformed into developmental agents of change. That the problem can be tackled if parties are made to derive their revenues from membership contributions, and state funding of parties is made mandatory, with the level of state funds that parties can receive determined by how many members they are able to attract. It will require close monitoring of parties by an independent body to ensure the accuracy of membership lists and party finances. The expectation is that over the medium to long run, parties will respond positively towards such incentives and develop more collaborative relations with voters that will improve well-being.
IDEG's 15th anniversary lecture was themed Overcoming Inequalities and Gaps in Democratic Governance, What Role for Political Parties in Africa? Matilda Pomaga for Joy News, Accra.
And you're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, there's more politics. Please stay tuned. Right, you're still watching Joy News Prime, and we'll be bringing you the politics for now, though. Let's do something else. The Adani royal family has rejected proposals for the organization of final funeral rites for the late Dagbon overlord, who was assassinated in 2001, Yana Yakubu Andani. The family says the proposals from the Committee of Eminent Kings contravenes Dagbon customs and traditions. Addressing a news conference in Tamale, spokesperson for the Andani family, Tamal Na Mahamadu Galway, said some key rites need to be performed first. He was flanked by 7 chiefs of the Andani family, as well as the children of the late overlord, Yana Yakubu Andani.
Rejoined by the Yona to a news item attributed to the Burkina. We, a cross-section of the senior members of the Andani royal family and senior chiefs of Dagbon, together with the children of the late Yana Yakubu Andani II, have taken note of the rejoinder of 15 December 2015 by Yona Abukari to a news item attributed to Bupena Alhassan Abdullahi and aired on a Tamale FM station, Zah Radio. We would have wished that a prominent chief of the caliber of the Yona would have adopted a different approach to deal with the matters at stake, instead of responding in such intemperate language with the potential of exacerbating an already difficult situation in Dagbon. This should not be coming from someone who claims for himself the status of head of the Andani family. We have therefore been compelled to restore to the same medium to respond to the Yona's rejoinder just for the public record. Although the Yona signed the rejoinder as head of the Andani family, contention is that most of these days have never been clearly agreed upon. Like we stated in the statement, and Vupwena said, any date that can lead to the performance of the funeral of the 2 late chiefs can only be decided by the Kurana in conjunction with his elders, in council with the regent of the law. When this is agreed, then of course there's no problem. Any other date which is...
Government on Thursday took a major step towards significantly reducing the indiscriminate dumping of human excreta in Accra. It launched the Accra Sewage Improvement Project, which will seek to connect all sewers into a centralized system to ensure proper disposal. The project, as Beatrice Edu reports, will also bring to an end the dumping of liquid waste directly into the sea, as happens now at Accra's infamous Lavender Hill.
Sooner than later, don't be surprised if you're advised to connect the sewer system in your house to a centralized system. That centralized system, the Accra Sewage Improvement Project, seeks to ensure human excreta from septic tanks in the city is no longer dumped into the sea.
Accra Sewage Improvement Project is about sewage. When I talk about sewage, that is the effluent from your bowl, the toilet bowls, in the sense that when you flush, it does not go into a septic tank. When you flush, straight into the pipes, into a treatment plant or a pump station. So this one, we call it offsite. Currently what is happening is that we have joint billing. If we get somebody connected, we send the name or the address of the person to Ghana Water, because it used to be water and sewage. Yes, so we send the name of or the address of the applicant to Ghana Water. Then Ghana Water, there is a standard that Ghana Water does. It's 35% usage or surcharge on their water usage. So if you use water in a month, let's say costing 10 cedis, then you will have to pay 3 cedis 50 pesos for sewage usage.
The African Development Bank, which is sponsoring the project, is advising government to invest more towards addressing the country's sanitation challenges.
Honorable Deputy Minister, allow me to encourage the government of Ghana to continue to prioritize sanitation on its development agenda. There are some facts and statistics about Ghana which we believe should convince the policymakers about the need to invest in sanitation.
The chief executive of JustOne Group says the Jada scandal, widely publicized in the media last year, actually impacted positively on its operations despite the bad publicity. The investigative report on his company's involvement in some government contracts, though damning, he says, tested the company's resilience. Dr. Xiang Jepong told Joy News during a tour of some of the company's subsidiaries by the Chinese ambassador, the JustOne Group is a better entity now thanks to last year's scandal.
The JustOne Group dominated the headlines after some of its subsidiaries were said to have been paid monies for government contracts awarded under questionable circumstances and which were not fully executed. Zoomlion, one of the subsidiaries, was only recently taken off a World Bank blacklist of companies who were found to have engaged in questionable business practices. The executive chairman is convinced the group has weathered the storm.
Success has a curve. It has challenges, it has a smooth route and everything. In business, if you don't face challenges, you can't be very successful. So everything that we pass through as a company, it was a curve of challenges. Now you come out, at the World Bank we are out with so many things that we are doing. It shows that we are on the track. If you don't go through that curve and you don't stand on your feet, the success story is that once you get into that and you stand, the sky is your limit.
The tour with the Chinese ambassador could be seen as part of JustOne Group's resurgence following the scandal. The delegation, among others, visited the Lavender Hill Fecal Treatment Plant, which will not only treat human waste, but also generate enough electricity from biogas to power the plant with the excess fed into the national grid.
We are expecting to generate about 7,000 cubic biogas, and this will be able to generate 400 kVA of power. And this power is supposed to power the entire plant. If after the plant we start the processes and there's excess, then we will think of selling it to ECG.
The Accra Compost Plant, managed by Zoomlion Ghana, is another subsidiary that has Chinese involvement. A chunk of solid waste generated mainly within the Ghana East municipality in Accra is managed here. While some of the trash is exported, a lot of it, especially the plastic, are recycled and the rest of the waste made into compost. Impressed with the amount of processing done at the plant, the Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Swin Buanhong, pledged continued support in ridding the country of faith.
We have seen the strength of the company, the capacity, and we have, boosted the confidence in future cooperation. And the fourth aspect is that among Councillor Lee and I myself, we have some preliminary ideas of further promoting our cooperation. First is that definitely we will try to find more training opportunities for people of JustOne and the Zoomlion. And second, I think we are going to do more publicity work of your company among Chinese business community here.
Swin Buanhong rounded up her tour at the vehicle assembly plant of Zoomlion at Botiman, where tricycles specially designed for the collection and transport of solid waste are assembled.
You see, as a country that we are developed, especially in the areas where you don't have vehicles and other things. If we want to go to India, they call it Punjab. It is converted. That one, if it's just a motorized, it's converted. It's not a three-wheeler, it is two-wheeler converted. But it has been organized and it's been done very well. What I think we have to do is to look at the regulatory issues about it and see. But once it's being managed and the farmer gets it and going to farm, cut his foodstuffs and come, that the foods will not rotten, and there's mango plantations and other things, it serves. It has its use and its purposes.
The JustOne Group consists of more than 30 subsidiaries.
The timely intervention by fire officers on Thursday at a site proposed for a filling station at Old Achimota prevented a fire outbreak from spreading and destroying property. Eyewitnesses say they called the fire service after the attempt to extinguish the fire failed. Afriyie has more.
The proposed site for the filling station was overgrown with weeds and had caught fire that had spread wide. When the news team got to the scene, the fire service had managed to put the fire under control. The manager of the site refused to talk to the news team, but eyewitness Samuel Kweku told Joy News their effort to extinguish the fire was futile till the fire service arrived.
Inside outside the owner, but again a friend said me mara. Na me ejatwa no me boa na yere. Ye num jano. Nti me ba no na ejana so.
Someone called my attention to a fire outbreak here. When I got here, it was blazing and spreading. We tried extinguishing it, but our effort wasn't enough. So we called the fire service. When they got here, they extinguished it. It started little from the gate and spread in because of the harmattan. I can't really tell what started the fire.
Station officer Wano Pokwanane told the news team they had a difficult time fighting the fire and advised the public to be careful with fire during this Harmattan season.
We were responded to a fire call at Kwashibu. When we had another call that this place is on fire, we responded to. We came here, the fire was intense, so we mobilized ourselves and then called for another pump, in which in no time they were also here.
So did you have any difficulties fighting the fire?
Very, very serious difficulty. Very, very serious difficulties that we encountered here. In fact, it's over an hour now, and yet fire is still in progress.
So what are you going to do about it?
We are making sure we put it under control. We've called for another tender, which is behind here, also working.
Now, securing jobs in Ghana's growing oil industry is quite frustrating for many. For those in the Western Regional Capital, Takoradi, limited employment opportunities in the oil industry means they are getting next to nothing from the oil wealth, which has ironically led to an increase in the cost of living in what is now known as the oil city. In the second part of his 5-part series looking back on 5 years of oil production, Justice Beidou has been interacting with some of those striving to change the oil narrative.
I grew up in this city and I know that people here, like everywhere else in Ghana, are resilient people who pull through the most difficult situations in life. But even by those standards, the stories that I've heard since I've been here these past few days are complaints of lack of jobs, increased rent, and overcrowding. So no matter how the impact of oil these past 5 years has been, it's obvious many people are yet to feel the trickle down.
My yet signed the city oil city, but be in female back. My henna ye walk on my na oil room. She ye bradum, I feel mom 5 years in who any improvement to be our tapadia. What henna brobomo, henna some be behind your hurry. Henna be in a school applications watch our brought and say for you.
Several people have secured direct jobs in Ghana's oil industry. Expectations of such jobs are still high, but there's only so much people who could land such jobs. For some young people in Takoradi, this is an opportunity to change the narrative.
My name is Miss Lodina Beidou. I'm the CEO of Perez Kitchen.
Lodina traveled to Britain when she left the University of Ghana in 2007. She hoped to earn a living there. In 2009, 2 years after Ghana's oil discovery, she came back home to work in Takoradi, hoping to land a job in the new industry.
Because of this oil industry, there are a lot of companies like they are doing the port expansion, they are doing gas projects here and there. So when these projects came into it, this oil industry came into existence, it's helping some of us to get businesses within them.
The expansion of the local economy in Takoradi means the Takoradi port has to be expanded. So Lodina's company has won the contract to provide food for the company working on the €197 million project, for example. Many of the people that I've spoken with in Takoradi say, well, we wanted a job in the oil industry, but we do not have a job, and so we think that the Western region hasn't really benefited from the oil industry. What do you think about it?
A lot of people are going around saying that But one thing I always tell people is, have you positioned yourself for that work you are looking for? They haven't positioned themselves.
It's about 5 years through the entire lifespan of the current Jubilee field. It appears quite obvious that some, like Lodina, are cashing in on the positives of the industry. But for others in Takoradi, it's a continued wait for the promised goodies of an oil economy. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Takoradi.
The Imani Center for Policy and Education has awarded some state organizations for excellence in public service. Here's a news desk report.
The state organizations, including the Ghana Revenue Authority, Bank of Ghana and Cocoa Board, were awarded for their excellence in public service on 3 main pillars: transformation, public engagement and independence. Former GIMPA Rector Professor Ade said smart governance is an essential ingredient for better delivery of public services. He charged public servants to be neutral, independent, efficient and transparent.
Smart governance is not a panacea, but an important element in better delivery of public services in the 21st century. We must be very careful that we don't provide service on the basis of whom you know, your party card or where you come from. These yams must be dropped forthwith. When it comes to public service, our hallmarks are neutrality, independence, efficiency, and transparency. That is what makes a public servant and a proud one as such. And I believe that using e-governance and ICT can help us to simplify processes, identify measurable outcomes, hold people easily accountable, because there will be a trail. Because when I send you an email, I have also a copy. When you say you haven't received it, you have to account for it.
President of Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo, commended the award winners for striving to become the best, despite limitations confronting them.
If we don't get closer to these institutions and realize that they work within some limited, not just time frame, but limited access to resources, then you may be doing them a disservice, really. But the import of this award is to shine the light that, look, some good can come out of our institutions, and they better get resourced, not just resourced by finance, but get resourced by motivation from politicians who otherwise would have wanted a situation where they can control these public sector leaders. And that's exactly what we don't want to happen.
Watching Joy News, we're taking a break, but still to come in the bulletin, government officials justify 3.6 million cedi expenditure on rebranding of public commuter buses. And Electoral Commission chairperson briefs Parliament about proposals to make the 2016 elections more credible, amongst them the use of national service persons as polling agents and university professors as returning officers. Up next, though, we'll bring you business news after the break. A time for business, and Etonam has joined me. Good evening to you, Etonam.
Hello.
One of the major issues that have been trending today is the increase in interest rates by the U.S. Federal Reserve.
Yeah, 0.25%.
Which has implications for us.
It does, not only for governments, but for private sector in terms of cost of borrowing.
Yeah. But it's interesting that the interest rate has just gone up from 0 to 0.25%, and it's an issue. Our interest rate is what?
Israel, I'm not going there with you.
All right, go on with the business.
The Finance Ministry has indicated plans to meet and strategize on how to mitigate any negative impact of interest rate hikes by the U.S. Central Bank. Joy Business is learning that this meeting will come up with some recommendations to be advanced to Cabinet for some policy interventions. More in this report.
The U.S. Federal Reserve announced 0.25% increase in its interest rates on Wednesday. This indicates that the U.S. economy had largely overcome the wounds of the 2007 to 2009 financial crisis and now strong enough to withstand higher borrowing costs. This is, however, expected to negatively impact on the cost of borrowing for not only government but the private sector. That is to say, with the increase in rates, investors are likely to find the U.S. market a safe haven for their investments than in emerging markets like Ghana. This also means that they would lend to government only at a higher cost. The interest rates hike is also expected to further strengthen the U.S. dollar and rather cause a further fall in the value of the weakening currencies of most African countries, including the Ghana cedi. In a related development, there might be the need to lessen the issuance of bonds following recent developments in the U.S. That is the advice coming from financial consultant Charles Mensah. Government recently indicated plans of doing more international borrowings by issuing bonds like the Eurobond planned for next year. But Mr. Mensah tells Joy Business it may be better to consider other avenues because of developments in the United States.
I think we should slightly move away from this idea of dealing with fund managers and see whether we can deal with the entrepreneurs, target them, because when entrepreneurs move into your market, they come in a blocks of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. They don't come in a block of 90 days, a policy change somewhere, and then they move. They come in for the long haul. So when you target entrepreneurs, out there, it sometimes helps. So I'm not a key fan of we dealing with those in the fund management system where we go out there, people use their pension funds from the foreign pension funds to buy the bonds that the government tried to raise or government has raised to help solve or to help balance the budget. Anytime there's an opportunity somewhere, they want to look at a way to exit out of that. But when it is that you are dealing with entrepreneurs who come in the long haul, what it is that when they see some of these blips, they stay because they are in for the long haul.
Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry has launched a nationwide financial literacy campaign. The initiative is aimed at encouraging more Ghanaians to save. Joseph Chukunu is a Director of Financial Services at the Ministry of Finance.
The point is that if we have a financial system that is working, most monetary policies would be very effective. What it means is that we'll bring the informal sector into the formal system, and therefore most of the policies would be based on the system itself, and therefore would achieve the desired results without the various leakages that occur as it is the situation now. Currently we have a large informal sector, and this large informal sector means that we don't have many people involved within the entire macroeconomic system, and that is why we have challenges with a lot of the monetary policies that the Bank of Ghana tries to come out with, and also some of the fiscal policies as well. So it's from that angle, when we have a lot of educated, financially educated population, they would be using the financial systems, and therefore we would have a handle on the monetary situations of the economy. Our inflation targeting will be working. Most of the targets for the various financial services would be working, and that is how the financial sector plays its role in the economic development.
Now, Superstation Joy 99.7 FM has been adjudged the tourism-oriented medium of the year 2014. The award, which was presented by the Ghana Tourism Authority, recognized the station's key role in promoting tourism-related issues in Ghana. The 11th National Tourism Awards, on the theme rewarding excellence through healthy competition, brought together local businesses and other stakeholders in the tourism industry. Your Superstation Joy 99.7 FM was adjudged the tourism-oriented medium of the year 2014. Tourism Minister Elizabeth Ofusojari congratulated Joy FM and Multimedia as a whole for their key role in promoting tourism-related issues, intimated government's commitment to support the media. According to her, government is committing 1 million Ghana cedis to aid the creative arts industry.
in fulfillment of the President's pledge to the Creative Arts Practitioners and Culture Forum, an amount of 1 million Ghana cedis has been released from the fund to support culture and creative art activities. A vibrant creative arts sector will greatly enhance Ghana's appeal as a tourism destination and widen the tourism value chain for greater benefit.
She adds the beach in front of the Osu Castle will be converted into a tourist site beginning 2016.
The ministry has received cabinet approval for the Marine Drive project, which seeks to transform the whole area of the beachfront from Osu Castle to Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum through Labour Point into a modern tourism enclave housing hotels, amusement parks, shopping arcades, and giving the capital city the needed lift to effectively position itself as an international meeting and convention destination.
Other award winners were Labadi Beach Hotel, was adjudged 5-star Hotel of the Year, and it was also adjudged highest paying tourism levy company. Tourism Restaurant of the Year was picked by International Daisy, and Drinking Bar of the Year went to Paradise Drinking Sports. Travel Agency of the Year went to Travel Bureau. Tour Operator of the Year went to Land Tours. District Attraction Site was picked by Afajatu South District. Visitor Attraction of the Year went to Menchia Palace. Papaya Foods was adjudged the company that is consistent with corporate social responsibilities. Tourism Alcoholic Beverage of the Year went to Alomo Bitters. And this is where we talk stock and commodity, and John is here to help me do that. Now, I see 4 equities trading, 2 lost, 2 gained.
The whole thing is almost about 10 equities that traded today, but it's only 4 that moved the market, meaning their price changed. We had Aluwex, SIC, Ghana Commercial Bank, and EGL, that's the Common Ghana Limited. Basically, these were the stocks that actually moved the market today. One, Aluwex and SIC added £1 each to their investor capital. Okay. By opening the market, by opening the day at 10 pesos and closing around 11, this is quite significant news for those holding equities of Aluwex and then SIC, basically. And unfortunately, GCB and Ecobank Ghana Limited also deducted a peso each from their investors' capital. Unfortunate news, but like I always say, getting closer to the end of the year, these are times you want to enter the market to actually get better bargain and better prices going forward. But beyond the stock market, we have other markets. We're looking at the commodities market. Exactly. So everything Ghana is actually involved in terms of commodities also losing today, especially cocoa. Cocoa, you remember cocoa lost yesterday almost about $40. Yes. Today it lost about $38. Okay, to close around $3,253 per metric ton. That is something that we should be watching, because we can't be losing value and at the same time volume. Over the period, it's obvious. I agree. The volume of our cocoa is actually declining over the period, and now with these El Nino issues also coming on board, the weather situations here and there, I think Ghana should actually be very strategic in planning using cocoa as part of our portfolio. Crude still nose diving. Today lost about 50 cents, okay, to close at $37.66. That is also something Ghana should be watching closely. Even though we are not doing, we are not benefiting that much. But I think as an exporter, we need to care about this one as well. So basically, that's what's happening at the New York, the Mercantile Exchange today. The currencies, Eto. The city. For 3 consecutive days, the city has been gaining against all major trading currencies. We pray it continues this way. I think that's a run every Ghanaian would want to see actually continue. And I don't really know where it's actually coming from. Okay? I'm not sure. Because we've not really gotten any amount of money that's supposed to actually shore up our reserves to strengthen our currency. But the fact is, probably people are not really importing that much because of the circumstances around our country currency. So I think basically the market has been pretty good today. I'm happy about the CD, John. And all that. So I think that is how it is. So basically that is it.
Thank you, John. On that note, we wrap up with business. My name is Eton Amse. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, government sources have justified the spending of 3.6 million cedis on the rebranding of public commuter buses recently introduced into the transport system. According to a document sent to Parliament detailing some government expenditure, it cost 31,000 cedis to brand each of the 116 buses. Now, the rebranding involves respraying the buses and splashing images of President Mahama and his predecessors on them. A document widely circulated on social media gives a breakdown of the bill as follows. Material cost for spraying of one bus is giving us 10,500 cedis, and it involves spraying it red, yellow, green, and black. And then material cost for one vision stickers is 1,250. So for the four it becomes 10,000. And then cost of SAV quota sticker 1,210, and it goes on and on. It lists labor as well. Labor cost for stickers as 2,000 cedis. It brings it down to 25,770. Now, there has been widespread outrage at the expenditure at a time when several government ministries and government agencies have had their budgetary allocations slashed as part of government austerity measures. Host of Joy FM's Super Morning Show, Kojo Yangsing, has been finding out more about the expenditure on the buses and joins me in the studio with what he knows. Good evening to you, Kojo.
Hello, Israel.
So the morning man is now joined the evening man.
It's not a bad feeling, I've got to say. I could get used to this.
All right. So your queries about this deal took you to Parliament House, where you say you encountered some ministers who offered some justification. How did they pull off this justification?
Well, I was there because I wanted to speak to members of Parliament on both sides of the divide to find out how on earth this, slipped past them and the money has now been spent. Nobody wanted to speak to me, but then I bumped into a few cabinet ministers. One of them, who I have a close relationship with, spoke to me on the sidelines of all the activity going on around Parliament House that day. Now, his explanation is that it is artwork. What we're looking at on the sides of these buses is artwork, somebody's idea. That he or she has.
If I can just ask the producer to put that photo up so we can get to see the
There
artwork.
we are.
So this is somebody's artwork.
Somebody's concept, which is copyrighted.
Like Van Gogh.
That's right. And so he explained to me that we're not only talking about the cost of the actual stickers, actually decorating the vehicle, but that cost also includes the value of the art. In other parts of the world, we pay millions of dollars to buy a Van Gogh or a Rembrandt or something by Monet or Manet. This is a Ghanaian work of art for which we have paid, in addition to paying for the actual decoration of the bus, we've paid a total of 3.6 million cedis.
Right. Where are these funds supposed to be coming from, or which ministry or agency actually paid for them?
Now, this payment actually came to light, or came to the attention of the minority leader when he was looking through a report presented by the finance minister to Parliament. This was a report of how our petroleum expenditure had been disbursed across various sectors of the economy, including transportation, where this amount of 3.6 million was spent to decorate these Metromass buses. Now, we bought 116 of these buses to run several routes across Accra. Most of them are still stationary, parked at Parliament House, while we get to grips with the e-ticketing system, which is going to be in use on these buses. But a few of them are out and about, currently being used.
I've seen a couple of them.
Yes, and this minister actually pointed out an example of a vision he saw of Ghanaians staring at this bus just opposite Flagstaff House, absorbing the view of this artwork and, having that impact of this image of national unity that was being fostered by this piece of art. And he said that alone should be worth any amount. Yes.
Okay, so you shared some examples of how this has been done in the past, where government didn't have to actually spend money, but government actually had revenue coming in just because they advertise on the buses. And this actually happens elsewhere.
Yes.
Just take us through some of those examples.
Sure. Well, here in Ghana, it's happened before. Under the Kufuor administration, there were some Metro Mass buses which were carrying some advertisement. Some political parties advertised on them. Several other organizations and private companies bought advertising space, including, I believe, MTN. They paid to advertise on these buses because, of course, they are high visibility vehicles. Yeah. They go everywhere.
And they brought in money.
Indeed, yes. The Transport Ministry on that occasion made some money.
Elsewhere, apparently, I mean, there's a lot of money that's made on it.
It's fantastic business. In London, the London buses are an iconic figure. And I rang an advertising firm in London yesterday to get an estimate of how much it would cost me to brand an entire London bus. And I was told it would cost me £25,000 minus VAT for a period of 2 weeks. So if you can imagine, plus VAT at 20%, that will give you £30,000 every 2 weeks. Okay, so 26 times a year, every London bus can make up to £3,000. Okay, so you can well imagine 3 times 26, you know, you're looking at something like £78,000 every year. Sorry, £780,000. Am I right? Yes.
You're right. There was also this touching experience. I was listening to the morning show where we had somebody calling and the person had to weep because of the corruption that was happening in the country. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
It was a rather emotional moment this morning on the show. A caller just could not help herself. After 5 seconds of speaking, she burst into tears. She just could not find any other way of channeling her emotion over what she considered to be wanton abuse of state funds to which she contributes.
How did you feel about it?
I felt helpless and hopeful in equal measure. Helpless because I was listening to a woman who was completely at her wit's end, and I didn't know what I could do to make her feel better. But hopeful because I felt that if I'm feeling this way, there is no doubt that any person who is in a position to make a difference, any person controlling our national purse who hears this will be moved to do something different. I certainly hope so, but maybe I'm being idealistic and naive.
Let's continue to hope. I mean, hope's all we got.
True.
Right? Thank you very much, Kojo Yangsing. Kojo Yangsing is host of the Super Morning Show, and he joined, he's usually the morning man, but he's here joining me, the evening man, here on Joy News Prime. But that audio of the woman who was weeping, who called into the show and was weeping, is available at myjoyonline.com. You can get to go there and get to listen how it all transpired. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, it's time for what's coming up on Joy News Interactive, and Aisha Ibrahim is here to tell us.
And guess what? Another video of you.
Well, it can be. It can be, so it's fine.
Well, today is away from Israel. Ghanaians seem to have an age-long habit of announcing notable people's deaths even before they actually pass. Individuals like Daddy Lumba, Supaodi, Nkomode have all had their fair share of this game. Now, former national chairman of the NPP, Jacob Echebilamte, is the latest victim of this annoying house. What do you make of these rumors?
People should be careful about what they think about others. They shouldn't just go about spreading false rumors that people are dead and stuff.
So a woman was moved to tears today after learning about the mismanagement of state funds to rebrand MMT buses. We'll also be taking all your social media comments, including the sacking of Chelsea's special one, when I return within the hour. The show is brought to you by Airtel.
All right, the removal of Jose Mourinho certainly is something that affected me personally. We'll have all that, plus entertainment and sports coming up in the second hour of the bulletin. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back to Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. The suspended chairman of the New Patriotic Party is going to court to seek to stop the party from discussing his suspension at this weekend's extraordinary Congress in Sunyani. Now, in business, finance ministry strategizes to mitigate any negative impact of interest rate hikes by the U.S. Central Bank. And government officials have justified the 3.6 million cedi expenditure on rebranding of public commuter buses. Right now on to the rest of our stories, and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission has been briefing Parliament on plans for credible, transparent, free and fair elections in 2016. She told the House that a bill will soon be placed before it to move the date for the polls from December 7, which has always been the date we vote in elections, to November 7. This is to ensure there is sufficient time for the transition process. The Electoral Commission is also considering using national service persons and academics as returning officers at the polls. Let's hear Charlotte Osei, the EC boss.
A few of the other things we want to change in the legal regime are to empower the Electoral Commission to object to unqualified persons on the register, rather than waiting for other people to object. The law would also be amended to ensure that political parties and candidates are provided with copies of the final register, that they get a list of the final polling stations, and for the Electoral Commission to file complaints with the police when there's a breach of law by election officials, such as not signing the results declaration form. We also want to expand the list of special voters to include observers and accredited media personnel, and more importantly, to permit biometric and manual verification. And we'll put in a procedure that would kick in if the biometric verification fails. Mr. Chairman, we have identified major challenges or risk to rolling out this program. One of it is the voters' register. As honorable members are all aware, there's a key challenge with the register and a major decision to be taken as to whether the register is so flawed that we require an entirely new one, or there's an audit mechanism that would suffice towards having a credible register for 2016. We are looking at concluding on this by the end of the year. The panel which we set up would come up with a decision probably by next week, and the Commission would look at it and take its decision. On moving the date to November 7th and ensuring that people in, I don't like overseas. People in constituencies, riverine areas, island communities get to vote. One of the reasons why we needed to increase the number of polling stations, was also to ensure that areas that are traditionally geographically disadvantaged in the siting of polling stations would get polling stations. So the first step is to split the really big polling stations where you have like 1,200 people into two. And then we'll now look at the proximity and the geographical location of polling stations. And then we'll also ensure that traditionally disadvantaged communities and the needs of people with disabilities are also taken into account in allocating or in siting the new polling stations.
All right, so Emmanuel Ante, a parliamentary correspondent, has joined me in the studio to tell us more about this encounter. And what circumstances did she come to Parliament?
Well, she was summoned. She was supposed to even be there on September 15th or so, but she was not able to make it, and so it was pushed forward. And because Parliament will rise next week, that's Tuesday, she had to be brought in today. And so that was the reason why she came in. And she had to brief the House on what the plans are for next year, since it's an election year. And Parliament had to push them to bring all the necessary documents that needed to be approved before the 2016 elections to prevent the legal issues or the constitutional breaches that we had in 2012. So that's the main reason why she was brought to the House.
Right, what was the reaction or the response from the members of Parliament?
Well, I can tell you that especially those from the minority were really, really, really eager to ask so many questions, and they put the EC on his toes, and you could hear the noises. At a point, Honorable Hannah Bisu, almost had a quarrel with Howard Kumsing, one of the minority members, all because of the EC, and because the minority wanted a lot of questions answered, and they are trying to say that, oh, that what she said was
enough.
Yeah,
there wasn't the need for.
Yeah.
You talked about, you know, she being on her toes. At some point, I actually saw her sitting down. At that point, I'm guessing that they gave her some reprieve.
Yeah. At that point, she had to. She was standing when she was submitting her statement to the House to tell them what the plans were. But after that, she had to sit because members will have to throw questions at her. And so she needed to sit down, write, or take notes of the questions that are being asked so that she can respond accordingly. And that was why she was sitting down there. But under normal circumstances, that's how the sitting goes when it's a committee of the whole meeting. When the one who's been summoned to the House is brought, they sit behind the clerk's chairs or the clerk's tables, and then the proceedings continue.
Now, one other interesting that came out of Parliament today is a minority saying that they want a recall of the controversial Ameri energy deal. You want it back in Parliament to re-examine it. Why are they saying that now?
Well, first of all, it was an exclusive I had a conversation with the one who is filing the motion. That's William Edu, who is filing, is a MP for Amenfi. It's just escaped me. But he is filing for that motion that the deal should be brought back to the House. The reason is that the minority thinks that they have received enough bashing from the public. And so they realize that if they don't do anything about it, one of the key issues is that sometimes when the issues are being discussed on the floor, most of the members go out of especially when bills have been brought in, they have to go through the nitty-gritty of what the deal is. They go out. So most of them do not know what exactly is. All they know is that this bill has been passed or this particular request has been approved. And so most of them did not know much about what happened. But I can tell you for a fact that they know, most of them know. But because of the public bashing, that's why they want to bring it back. They go through it one after the other to ensure that they really made the right decision.
How do you get it back after you've approved it?
Well, the Speaker has a power to rescind its decision on an approved bill or loan or anything that is brought to Parliament. So they could be
successful?
Yeah, they could be. The Speaker could decide that, okay, I rescind the decision, let's bring it back to the House, let's go through it, let's scrutinize it further and see what will happen. But as we speak now, I am not even sure whether the Speaker will even admit it because it's so close to the time they will rise, and they have a lot of things to do. And so this means that it might be pushed, even if they will look at it, that's my opinion, it might be pushed to next year, the next sitting when Parliament resumes next year.
Right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Ante. And just to summarize, the issue about the Ameri deal is that the government has signed an agreement with Ameri Energy to provide to supply electricity. Now, the deal is set to be worth around $510 million, but there are lots of experts and people generally, the public, who think that this deal is overpriced and that government could have gotten it for a much better deal. We're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you entertainment.
Entertainment news is brought to you by...
It's time for entertainment. Miss G has joined me. Good evening to you.
Hello, Israel Kumfulai. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, that's nice of you. Okay.
Well, you expected me to say something else?
I thought you would have said that, okay. You love the name, you know.
Let's move on. I mean, when you get these names like these and you try to resist them, they stick on you.
Ah, yeah, so you love it.
Go on, feel free.
Anyway, okay, so it's about 7 days more to Christmas, isn't it?
It is.
And I'm sure that you have very fond memories of Christmas.
Not too many. These days, every day is Christmas, actually.
Okay, but it's Throwback Thursday, and so we thought to find out from some musicians what they remember about Christmas. You know, your Christmas dress. For us ladies, we had dress, a bag that was even longer than yourself. You know, you had a watch and all that. You know, all those beautiful memories.
Kids, actually.
Yes. So as part of our Throwback Thursday segment, we decided to find out from first Ochiami Kwame what memories he holds of Christmas.
I remember that my father used to take me to the shoe factory, the one that collapsed, and the Rollins was blaming that people ate too much whey, so they didn't have leather. Then they would measure our feet and then make shoes for us, so for all 5 of us. And I also remember that he would go and make clothes for us. I remember the ones that I will never forget is when tie and dye came. Every Christmas he make tie and dye for him. When you are working, they'll say, "Where's Shia Unia?" You know, the biscuits. And I could dance very, very much. I was an amazing dancer. So whenever I got to a party, I would leave with all the biscuits because I would dance everybody. You know, I was a Michael Jackson of my time. And then Christmas was fun. I remember that we used to eat chicken a lot because the whole of the year it will be mutton. You know, so once or twice in December you eat some chicken soup. Or yes, chicken soup. I hated chicken soup that didn't have enough pepper. I hated chicken. I hate chicken, but I remember I used to enjoy chicken back then. And then we will have the crackers, the cream crackers. Then we will have Bona biscuits. I also remember all the funny hats that we used. We will walk from one house to the other, begging for biscuits. Bronyo, I fear to you. I know get them so cold, make you no focus. We go in.
All right, so in my case, it will be the Bronya biscuits.
The Bronya biscuits,
the Piccadilly biscuits.
Anyway, but that's for Shami Kwame. I'm sure that someone will also want to know what fond memories comedian David Oscar also holds of Xmas.
During that time, you'll have a lot of, camp meetings and religious activities, basically. And of course, that's how I grew up, singing Christmas carols, singing Happy Birthday for Jesus, etc. And then maybe when I got to, let's say, the junior high school, we used to do a lot of jams, parties, that's when I got into contact with knockouts and stuff like that. So mine was mostly, church activities, if you like. Yeah.
But when you were growing up, sometimes we had clothes. Some people used to wear the already made. Others would go for the, palm or brownie. What were you always getting?
Daddy would, go to the market, get some materials, and take me to a tailor, get my measurement, and then sew something for me. That was mostly it. I don't think that we were too up there to be able to afford all this luxury clothing, if you want to put it that way, So mine was more material. So I had a lot of jumpers, a lot of material stuff. Things like Coke was such a luxury. You only drank it twice a year. Our day at school and then Christmas, So when Christmas was coming up, I always knew I was going to get a bottle of Coke. Food, you would talk about rice, mostly jollof, sometimes chicken. I don't think fried rice was very popular at the time,
You should have gotten him to give us a joke for Christmas.
Well, I got him to sing because now he's a comedian, he's a musician, he's an actor as well. So he's in all three. So, David Oscar has moved on from just being a comedian.
Right.
All right. So those are some fun memories of Christmas, and you were sharing just something about your Christmas that is a biscuit bit. You didn't talk about the spectacles that you used to wear, and that was almost like...
Well, all that, and then knockouts, and all that, yeah.
Now, you're a big man, so you can't think of Christmas anymore. But do you know that actor John Dumelo has been made chief somewhere in Cameroon? Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, and you know, as part of the honorary title, he's been given plots of lands in Cameroon, in a town called Bamenda. And he says that he just went there to do some philanthropic work, and the people were so amazed to see him. They were impressed, you know, with his acting skills, and decided to make him chief. He spoke to us at Hits FM.
I went to Cameroon, spent about 10 days in Cameroon promoting a film and also shooting my forest documentary. And I got to the northwest part of Cameroon called Bamenda. And when I got there, you know, the people were so happy to see me, you know, because obviously they enjoy my movies and really appreciate the African film industry in Cameroon. So they gave me their royal regalia and also said that, you know, they have been made an honorary small chief in Bamenda. So I'm always welcome there at any time. And that was pretty much it. I'll definitely do a production in Cameroon next year because they are really willing and eager to their film industry. So yes, I'll be going there sometime next year to do.
Now I'm beginning to think again. This viral video that's going around, do you think it will earn me some chieftaincy title somewhere?
Oh, so you want to be a chief somewhere?
Well, if you could give me a chieftaincy title somewhere in Cameroon and give me lots of plots of lands.
Okay. So
I don't mind.
Yes, let's play the
No,
just for people
no, I'm not saying that. No,
so that people
I'm not
who
saying
haven't
that.
seen it
I'm
and
not
want
saying
to give you a chieftaincy
I'm not
title.
saying you should play the video.
Plots of land.
Let's move on.
You don't want plots of land. You don't want, in fact, fleets of
It's
cars.
all right. It's all right. Let's move on. I was kidding.
Oh.
I was kidding. Let's move.
Because I wanted to, you know, work with you. You know, I'm friends with
Let's move on. What's the other story?
Really? You are the other story. But, you know, the back and forth about Shatta Wale and Bulldog. Yesterday I told you about Bulldog's wife alleging that Shatta might leak her nude pictures because he's got them in his possession. Now, Shatta has been speaking. He says, you know, he doesn't have the pictures. He hasn't seen pictures. He said that what happened back then in Germany when he and Bulldog had traveled to play shows there was that Bulldog went allegedly banging another man's wife there, and then the man was.
He said that?
Yes, he said that. He said that, and his words bonking somebody's wife, and the man was actually their host, and the man took pictures of Bulldog and the said woman, and Bulldog had to actually run away in the man's clothes, and so he had to call in the man called in the police, but he saved the situation by taking the laptop he gave Bulldog, and for your notice, the laptop, he says that was given to him as an official laptop because he was part of the Shatta movement and it wasn't a personal thing. It wasn't a gift he gave to him, as Bulldog's wife had said. And so for him, he doesn't know anything about. Apparently, when he took the laptop from him in Germany, he gave it to this same guy whose wife Bulldog had allegedly had something to do with. And so the man, after getting access to it, the picture was on the desktop. This is what Shatta Wale tells, that it was on the desktop.
Essentially, he's suggesting that it is that man who has a grudge with Bulldog who's releasing
who sent even the picture to Bulldog on his birthday. And so that's the story so
Interestingly, you know, just early today, I was listening to one of his tracks, Kai Kai.
Yeah.
That's all. Sing that for me a little.
Do I have a good voice to say Kai Shatta Wale come like Kai. And I say, call me your IGP. Or Mensa Waterbell. He said Waterbell. I don't know which of the Mensa Waterbell he's talking about, but that's Shatta Wale. He says he's busy building his brand. He cannot concern himself with these issues, and he has better things to think of. So finally, Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose, you know, their marriage in I think they got together in 2011, married in 2013, and the divorce rather in 2013 or so. But we see them in pictures. They're walking their son to a park, and everybody's asking, are these two back together? Because he actually had a diss song for his wife, his ex-wife. Yeah. And so everybody's wondering, okay, what are they doing together? Even though earlier in the year, she had posted pictures to say that, you know, it's still balling for them. You know, people are wondering whether it's really still balling. You know, so that's about Amber Rose and Wiz Khalifa.
Up to them. Whatever.
But quickly before I go, Google has released names of the most searched personalities across the globe, and guess who in Ghana tops the list?
John DeMello?
No, you got that wrong. Try again.
It wasn't me, obviously.
Yeah. You weren't involved in any scandal, were you?
No, I wasn't.
Were you? You weren't. Okay. So top of the list we have Nanaba, we're presenting Nanaba. We have KKD in there from Ghana as well. And then elsewhere we have Mona Obiekwe. Actually, he tops the list. You know, Mona died earlier this year. Yes, Mona, Nigerian actor Mona Obiekwe is in the list as well. And some other persons.
So Nanaba made a top search list.
Yes, you know, on Google. And of course, Bruce Jenner also was there in that list. I don't know whether because of his, you know, transgender, you know, into Caitlyn Jenner and all that. So that's about it for entertainment, Israel.
All right, thank you very much.
And on that note, we are still looking for our chief tasting title, so we can actually, you know, appeal to you with this video. It's just in good taste that we do that, you know.
No, that's it. We're done with entertainment.
You don't want the chief
when we come back,
title.
we'll bring you sports with Gary Alsmith. And Gary's standing by. Thank you very much, Ms. Shi.
Entertainment news was brought to you.
All right, so this is the day that Mourinho was shown the exit. Gary Alsmith is here to tell us all about it. Frankly, when I heard the news, I wasn't sure how to take it. I was wondering, is this good or bad? And I'm still not sure. Maybe because I'm not sure who's going to come in and what this person is going to bring. Because I don't want us to go through. Okay, why am I going?
You're emotional. Yes, I'll just go waiting for you to like this man.
Okay, all right.
It's amazing how football has a hold on us that we don't know, or sports. I mean, if you are passionate about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have some more details, plus we'll be calling the UK and all.
All right, please take it.
Okay, so this afternoon, as you may know, unless you were hiding at work and you were really busy, this happened. Jose Mourinho was shown the door. So that was the big news, plus a lot went into why and how he was sacked. We'll go to that in a bit. However, this was his record in the Premier League throughout his 2 stints for Chelsea. And as you can see, for 2015-2016, he won 4 games, drew 3, and lost 9. A staggering statistic if you compare to his heyday, where he won 29 in 2004-05 and 29 in 2004-05, also 24 in 2006-07 and 25 in 2013-2014. Shows the scale of really how things went badly for Jose Mourinho. In the Champions League also, this time before he left, he was able to leave Chelsea with a very, very big legacy. So in the UEFA Champions League, Jose Mourinho had a great time as well. But his last game was against Leicester. And if you recall, there was a bit of a spat with him and Diego Costa. So we go to Leicester in England now, where the BBC's Jason Bond is going to give us some perspective. Thank you, Jason, for staying with us.
Good evening.
Yep. Where you are based is the last place Jose Mourinho will remember as the place where he tasted defeat. How is Leicester taking it?
I think they're pretty shocked, really. I mean, it was really special, wasn't it? Because, like you said, it was against Leicester City and against Claudio Ranieri, who, of course, was sacked as Chelsea manager back in, was it 2004, and replaced by Jose Mourinho back then. I mean, I guess it has been coming. There's been a lot of talk about will he go, won't he go? But today we've finally got the news, haven't we? And it's across all the back pages. It's on all the news channels. It's really big news here.
Certainly big news. Now, in terms of replacements, I mean, here in Ghana, on myjoyonline.com, one of our analysts was giving us the potential replacement for Jose Mourinho. What, in your estimation, is that looking like? Is it Pep Guardiola? Is it going to be Diego Simeone? Is it going to be Juande Ramos? What's it looking like from your neck of the woods?
A lot of names have been mentioned. You mentioned 3 of them there. Goose Hiddink has also been talked about as I guess, an interim, a stand-in until the end of the season. Did it a few years ago, didn't he, where he won the FA Cup, I think it's 5 years ago. And that's a possibility until Chelsea can bring in maybe the man they want. Pep Guardiola is the man that everybody seems to want. Manchester City, potentially Arsenal. Manchester United maybe, and he's not committed his future to Bayern Munich at the moment. Could he wait until the end of the season and come in then? One day Ramos, as you mentioned, been mentioned too, and of course been in London before with Spurs. But Chelsea have got to make an appointment probably next summer and get it right for the long term.
Thank you very much, Jason Bond, for your analysis on that situation. We appreciate you spending time with us on this. So that's the view from the UK. It's been big news around the world and here in Ghana as well. We hit the streets to get an idea of what a lot of Chelsea fans and again supporters really think about the sacking of Jose Mourinho.
Oh, to me, I'm not surprised because his performance is not good. That's why he has been sacked. But I prefer if they will choose next person as the coach for the team. I prefer Gushinik.
I'm not surprised at all because he didn't perform well. Because they used to lose too much. Because I'm a Chelsea fan, but Mourinho is not a coach to coach Chelsea now. I prefer Gus Hindig more than Mourinho because we are losing. Even Bournemouth, small team, then you lose with Bournemouth. So I'll blame the players because maybe some players don't like the coach, so they play as if they are not playing. So the fault from the coach and then some from the players.
No, it's not much surprise, but one thing is that he has been given many opportunities to prove himself. He couldn't. So if they sack him, I think it's the right that Chelsea have done. It's the right thing.
Not at all. Not at all. Because for the past some weeks now, he has not been performing at all. All his performance has been poor. He has been losing much each and every week. So I don't even know why he still there. So his second to me it wasn't a blow, and it's okay for Chelsea team for them to find a good coach.
So, the view from Accra, we've been to the UK. Let's go over to social media around the world. And as you can see, it's been big news. But in Ghana, if we could zoom this for a moment, this is it. Ghanaian trends. It's the biggest news in Ghana. Number one trending in Ghana. And it's no surprise. Let's take a look at some of the tweets that have been coming from this country. This one is from Andrew Gaffney. He says, are we still talking about Mourinho? The guy had an abysmal record this season with a star-studded squad that had just won the league. This one is from Jace the Guna. Says, after all Mourinho has done, I can't say he doesn't deserve to be humiliated in such a way. And he says, specialist in failure. And this one is for all Arsenal fans laughing at Jose Mourinho, saying, since last time Wenger won the league, Jose Mourinho was hired by Chelsea, won the league twice, got sacked, went to Inter, won the treble, left them, went to Real Madrid, won the league, left them, came back to Chelsea, won the league, and got sacked again. And this one says, Demba Ba on Mourinho. It's rare for him to do 3 years in a row for a player. It's so tiring and exhausting. So that's the view on social media. So we were having a vote on myjoyonline.com. And guess what we had? Do you think that Jose Mourinho's sacking was the right decision? And here we go. 70% of viewers at the time we were coming into the studio said no, it's a bad decision, and 30% of you feel it's the right decision. So that's it. Go to myjoyonline.com/sport and cast your votes. Plus, get all the reaction and on our Facebook and Twitter pages as well. Let's know what you think and who should be the replacement for Jose Mourinho. I know what should be the replacement for me. It's dinner. That's the sport for now. My name is Gary Al Smith. Bye-bye.